how to predict using astrology. So I'm going to look at a chart here, and this is my chart, and we're going to look specifically on prediction when it comes to anorexia slash eating disorders. And the first thing I'm going to look at here is the rising. It is the sign of Capricorn, and it's ruled by Saturn here, and it's at 16 degrees. Next thing I'm going to look at is the sun. The sun here and Mercury are at 25 degrees and 24 degrees Capricorn. Now, typically I would look at the sign of Virgo for anorexia or eating disorders, but in this case we're going to look at Capricorn because the ascendant is in the decan of Taurus, and the sun and Mercury are in the decans of Virgo. So we can see eating disorders and anorexia in all of the earth signs. You'd say specifically Virgo, but here we have the sun and Mercury in that third decan of Capricorn, essentially being of the Virgo sign. Now the next thing I'm going to look at here is where is Ceres, because Ceres rules eating disorders, and it's right here on the ascendant at 14 degrees. The ascendant is at 16 degrees. And the other thing we're going to look at here is Pluto, because Pluto is going to be essentially where is going to be when the eating disorder becomes apparent in the life by the transit of Pluto. So coming back to this sign of Capricorn and the sun and Mercury, we can see that this person could potentially have an eating disorder or run into actually having anorexia at some point in the life. Now, looking at this chart, it doesn't guarantee that the person with these placements of Ceres and Virgo, that the person will have an eating disorder, but it gives the potential for this to occur. So in predicting work, we can actually, if we're aware of the spectrum of what the meanings are and what the popular meanings are, because eating disorders are very popular. Anorexia may not be, but eating disorders are. We can look at the natal chart and say, hey, this is a part of your life that could come up in the future. And by doing this predictive work, it's not predicting that something's going to happen, but it's warning the person that, hey, you should learn, or you shouldn't say that you should, but if you learn about these things, the risk of them happening in your life could be reduced. Now here we move to the next phase of the prediction, and that is the transits for the area that we were talking about here in Capricorn, specifically Pluto. And here we are with Pluto transiting that rising sign and that Ceres. And we can see this is a time where, an important time where a change can occur. And the change can be for the better, the change can be for the worse. If the change is for the better, in this case with the eating disorder, a person maybe becomes aware of the eating disorder and starts to make the proper changes, or it may not necessarily be eating disorder. It could be just too much exercise, which can lead to the eating disorder. And the changes can occur, or they can occur or not occur, and things can get progressively worse. And that is here. That is here with the transit of Pluto. And there are other transits we could look at. We're going to stick with. We're going to keep it simple and just stick with Pluto here. Okay, and we're going to fast forward here 3 years, and Pluto has made its way here to transit this Sun, Mercury in Capricorn. Now we can see that if the changes are made, we can predict that this person will be moving forward with by possibly more positive manifestations. If the changes were not made, this is the breaking point where the person will be made aware of the eating disorder. For certain, will have likely have anorexia, and changes will be forced upon them, uh, or theoretically, the person will have to make changes. So we're looking at just basic prediction method, looking at the natal chart, what it means, and then looking at the transits in the future from what we're seeing. And we're able to not necessarily make predictions, but we're able to make potential predictions and help people uh, so in the future they can make better decisions. They can make better decisions now, so that the prediction will be a more positive manifestation rather than a negative manifestation. And this is a right use of prediction with astrology that a lot of people are not using, and this is where in science they're not using it as a science where it could be uh, used as a way to help people as it could have been in this case.